Hello and welcome to Feck TV Irish Sports Show. After last week's overreaction from me and Turner on the show, I have a new guest with me today. None other than Christopher Murphy. He's going to be our rugby correspondent. A lot to get through today, so we're going to kick off straight away with the Heineken Cup and the games that were played over the weekend. Welcome to the show, Christopher.
How are you getting on?
Big weekend of Heineken Cup.
Fantastic weekend. As you see, Connacht, the first team out, they played Friday night. They won 22-14 over, obviously, one of the superpowers of French rugby. Fantastic game. They went into the game without four main forwards, and they were unbelievable.
Who was it against? Biarritz?
Biarritz.
Biarritz are one of the top teams.
Oh, they are. They'd be the top 4 or 5. They have a budget of something like 20 million a year to spend. And Connacht probably might have about £20 a year to be spending on players. But
and what else? Ulster had a great win.
Yeah, Ulster again. They're 13 games now unbeaten. 13 games constantly going. They're the only team left in Europe unbeaten, and I'd say they're a good bet for the Heineken Cup.
And I actually watched the Leinster game myself.
Yeah, they were lucky. I don't think they're the same type of team they were before. They seem to be. If you saw it, obviously, did you?
Yeah, I watched the game. I was in the pub watching the game. It kind of put my nose out a little bit. I enjoyed a little bit. I was watching the game, and while I was watching the game, Johnny Sexton went to take a penalty, and some fella turned around and went shh for the penalty. And I thought, do you think Johnny can hear this over in France?
Jesus Christ, he probably could. I'd say the way he kicked it.
Is he that magic? He can hear it.
They were poor enough, to be honest. They should have, like I'd say, O'Driscoll, obviously missing him, and Kearney, they're a big loss.
Why are the rugby crowd like that, Chris? Compared, why are they shooting people in pubs?
It's just out of respect, really, because.
Well, why don't they do that when Lionel Messi's taking a penalty against Barcelona a couple of hours later?
What they say, what's they saying? They say about rugby. It's a thugs game played by gentlemen, and soccer's a gentleman's game played by thugs. So.
That's your view of it?
Yeah, that's my view.
That's a typical rugby comeback.
Yeah, for sure. I know, but it's just respect. Even going to games years ago with my dad, it was always just, it's just respect. Like, if you hit a fella, he'd hit you back, and then you'd buy each other a pint after the match, and it's still that way.
I suppose they just want to keep the old school mentality.
Yeah, that's it. Like, there's no, like, you wouldn't see racism or anything in it, like the soccer, and it's just the way it is, like.
And looking at Leinster, they're the top team in Europe. They've won the last 2 Heineken Cups.
They do, yeah.
Do you fancy them again this year, or have they put themselves in a...
I don't know, I'd either say... This is tough one to call. Like when they get a few their big players back again, like O'Brien's just back from injury, obviously, and Kearney's still out, but when they come back, they will make an awful difference.
Watching the Munster game, Munster had a good win.
Oh, Munster, yeah. I think they'll go back to the Munster of old again. Something Penny was... The Munster Raw was a forwards team. They kept in the front 8, but now Penny wants to sort of expand the game to a 15-man game, and they look very impressive.
When I watched the game, I was listening to Will Greenwood, the former English rugby player. All I remember Greenwood was playing years ago in Lansdowne Road, and they were hammering Ireland, and he used to run to the corner to score the tries. I think they were winning by 40 or 50 points, and he was running to the corner to make the kicks more difficult for Johnny Wilkinson. It was really disrespectful.
I wouldn't be a fan of him. He'd be like the Gary Neville of soccer, no, like a terrible person. I don't like him.
But he was kind of saying, I think Alan Quinlan was with him, and he was saying to Quinners, was coming out saying, it's all about the jersey and Munster, and he was kind of laughing it off as if it was a joke, and he was saying about the lads that were playing for Saracens. The 4 of them had played against the All Blacks the week before and beat the All Blacks well, so he kind of came across really cocky and typical English.
Typical, but he didn't say either that like 7 of the English squad weren't even born in England or anything. Like you've the
Is that true?
The likes of Bota, you've Barrett in the centre, you've Hartley the hooker, he's born in New Zealand, and like they have the biggest playing. They have 1.2 million registered players, and like compared to Ireland, it's something like 120,000 or something. So you can see the amount of the vast sort of pool of players they can pick from, but they're picking 7 foreigners then, so it's a bit strange.
Rugby is one of those games that's really taken off in the whole of the world, especially. I think it's the fastest growing sport now in Ireland. Why do you think that is? Why has it come to that?
I reckon it went back to Munster when they first won the Heineken Cup. I think it was 2001 or 2000. Munster Raw was a bit of sort of a hard grafting team, like they weren't like the fancy boys up in Leinster or anything. But it sort of brought like normal people, like middle class to lower class people interested in rugby where they never were before. Like they were always into soccer and GA, and they sort of like small clubs, country clubs, sort of bringing people into the clubs, and there's sort of a bit of an interest sort of stemmed from there, and it's flying now. Everyone seems to watch it.
Do you think people don't like the fact that the middle class now are supporting it so much? Because I think one of the first games that Munster or Leinster played, the first Heineken Cup game, they only had 230 supporters at the game.
Oh yeah, I remember going to games in Musgrave Park with my dad in '95. I think it was the Heineken Cup match, And there must have been, I'd say, 30 people there, and I was sitting on the sitting on the side of the pitch holding the ball, and there was nobody at it. And now, sure, you couldn't get a ticket for love nor money.
Do you think in the rugby, it's coming a lot more the way I suppose soccer has gone? You know, a lot more commercial. You see the player like you before. You probably couldn't name the whole Irish team, but now literally you see them on adverts every 5 minutes on television.
Yeah.
Do you think it's kind of going along that road that we'll see all the mishaps that footballers get caught out with?
It's a tough one to say. Like, I suppose you get mishaps everywhere you go. Like the likes of like Cipriani, you know, and Quay Cooper there. Like, they wouldn't be the brightest sort of players on the old backs at all. Like, no, they do silly things.
Every time I see him, he's got like going out with some model. Cipriani.
He went to Australia. He didn't go to Australia there, and he was playing there, and he was hanging on with Quay Cooper, and then like Sonny Bill, he's another. He didn't know what he's doing either. Like, he's the heavyweight champion boxer in New Zealand now.
He actually played the weekend. He played for Sale, didn't he, against Johnny Wilkinson's team, didn't he?
Yeah, that's
they lost. Yeah. I watched a bit of that game.
But he's an
underachiever, really.
He's not really. I think it's typical English. He came on the scene when he was young, and he was overrated and hyped up straight away. And sure, like, no matter what he does, then if he does something bad, he's always going to be bad. And if he does one thing good, he's fantastic. He's the best thing since sliced pan. But it's strange. Like, it's the same with Farrell and the English team. Like, he played 1 or 2 good games, and suddenly he's unbelievable and he's the best thing ever. So.
And looking into the weekend games now, they all play each other in the return fixture.
Yeah, Connacht, I can't see them going travelling over to France beating Biarritz, because that's like a fortress. Like, months, it'd be tough for Munster to do that, or Leinster even. I'd like to see them win, but I'd say it is looking.
They've got like a certain amount of minutes they've never lost a game or something like that. Is it Biarritz?
Well, no, that's Clermont. They've won 51 games unbeaten at home there. I think it's 1,113 days without losing the game there.
And is there any of the Irish teams under pressure now in the Heineken Cup to qualify into the
Leinster looking stages? A bit like Leinster a couple of points off now, and I don't know. They're home now the weekend, which is obviously they're playing the Aviva. It's like a fortress, so obviously I'd say they'll probably win there, but it's still it's going to be tough for them.
So what's your predictions for the weekend coming up?
I would say Leinster, also Munster will all win.
Think so?
Fingers crossed.
And Connacht plus what?
I'd like Connacht. Give or take.
I think Connacht get a bit of a raw deal, don't they? They're a bit disrespected because they're a smaller club.
They are a bit, but I think they're like everyone's sort of second favourite. They're like Celtic. They're like everyone's second favourite team. Everyone likes to see them do well, and considering the RFU were trying to disband them a couple of years ago because they didn't have the money, but sure, look at them now. Like, they're in the Heineken Cup and they're flying.
Great stuff. Thanks, Christopher. Moving into the GA, for the last week, there's been a row storming over racism in the Ulster Championship football. A lad, Aaron Cunningham, is saying he was racially abused. It's something that we've seen in England in the soccer recently.
Yeah, you were in England a long time. How did you ever? Obviously you did, but
yeah, no, I would see a lot of racism in soccer.
And why is it becoming so much publicised now?
Do you know what? I think people are starting to stand up a little bit more for what they believe in.
Yeah.
Because I think before players would just accept it at the knowledge because they didn't want to rock the boat or didn't want to lose their place in the squad, or because some players can be brought in by the chairman and next thing you know they're sold off because they don't want it hanging around the club, you know.
There was an incident in Swansea, was there at the weekend?
Swansea had it. But it's strange that it's coming into the GA, you know. It's something that you wouldn't expect in the culture of the GA and the whole lot.
I remember the incident with Sean Ogg a couple of years ago. There was an old racial incident as well there, I suppose.
Yeah, I think Sean has put up with a lot. I think Sean probably didn't come out and say it, but I think Sean would have been one of those that he just kept his head down and kept going, you know. I think the GA now are saying that they're going to have between 8-week bans and lifetime bans for anyone accused of racism.
But when you were over in Brunei now, did you experience anything towards you? Or?
In Brunei was probably one of the worst I had. Funny enough, being over in Asia, I think we had a couple of lads from Ghana and we had a black lad from Brazil who often be called monkeys on the pitch. It was disgraceful. You know, it was something that used to really upset me. Them players, I used to be more upset than them players, you know, because they were just used to it and they just had to take that kind of stuff, you know. And it was amazing to see it and see it firsthand. If you ever heard something like that in England, it would definitely be cause of fuss.
Sure.
But in Asia, the lads, I just think they didn't want to rock the boat and just accepted it. But the one good thing I think that's coming out of it, it is being publicised now, and players are getting bans and people are taking more notice of it, which is great. So we're going to move on now again today. We've got a hot topic for both of us that we were speaking about earlier, is about Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, Rory McIlroy came out today on the RT website that has been nominated for the RT Sports Personality of the Year, which is a bit strange to see, seeing as he declared himself that he probably will more likely play for Britain in the Olympics. and he's also nominated for the BBC Sports Personality of the Year. So Warty knows something that we don't know.
Yeah, we like to say to our people that are our guests that watch the show, we'd like you to come into Feck TV and give us your views if you want to come and Skype and talk to us, or email us in and ask us questions, because this is something that we feel is very confusing. Are people happy about this, that the RTE have nominated him after he's more than likely going to declare for Great Britain for the golf Olympics in Brazil? So it's something we really like for our viewers to come back in, and if you want to speak to us on the issue, you're more than welcome to come back on. Another thing this week, it's a big boxing occasion in Ireland. Spike Sullivan is coming to Neptune.
Yeah, Neptune Saturday night, is it?
Neptune in Cork. He's going to be fighting. It's first time since the big World Championship fight since Collins and Eubank. Spike is coached none other than Pascal Collins, who is Stephen Collins' brother, who fought Eubanks that night, and is also brother of the football manager Roddy Collins. So looks like it's going to be an entertaining night.
That was a great night down in Parky Heath that night.
It's one night. It's one night I remember from my childhood going to that game, or going to that fight. It was fantastic, wasn't it?
My brother, the only person supporting Chris Eubank. So.
But it looks like there's going to be a lot of hype on that this week. Yeah.
That's something the side needs again, something big like that again. Get people interested and stuff.
So that's it from our Irish Sport Show this week. If you would like to come in on Skype, ask us any questions, as we said, it would be fantastic. And if you want to speak about your club, the GAA, whatever you want, it's something, get some hot topics going and we can have a conversation in the show. So thank you all for joining us on Feck TV today.